Okay, so I'm hoping that I'm live. I'll just check once for the sound. I'll just check once for the sound. Yeah, I think everything is great. I'll just check once for the sound. Okay, so guys, thumbnail basically gives you the description of this class. I'm gonna do the percentages problem. Now there is a reason for me to actually solve this one, because I was unknowingly I designed the last video with this thumbnail that we are doing geometry, although I was recording geometry videos before that. But because percentages is the topic that I thought I would start off these lectures on, so I am actually uploading the first few questions of the quantum cat this thing. I am pretty sure that you guys will enjoy the session. Okay, so without further ado, let's just delve into the session. This is going to be a very interesting session. It will be interactive, but then I'll look into the comments only once I am done with the entire this thing. So if you have any comments in your mind, you can post that. I'll look into it. All right. So first thing first, we are not going to solve all the questions, just a couple of questions to warm ourselves up. And at the same time, I also want you all to realize that these are just my attempts. You may choose to like them or not, but then I may tell you a few optimal methods to solve these questions also. They're a little higher level exercises. They're not basic level or concept level exercises. So if you're done with percentages, the topic, great. If not, then you can possibly learn a few things through this session. All right, so let's start off with the first question. It says in a school, there are 500 students. 60% of the students are boys, 40% of whom play hockey, and the girls don't play hockey. 75% of the girls play badminton. There are only 2 games to be played. The number of students who don't play any game. Now, if you realize, this is a typical, table kind of a situation. So this is something like this: boy, girl. Okay, and just a second. Now I'll tell you why I'm designing these grid structures, but first of all, let me just, so maybe instead of hockey I can just use the abbreviation H. Not hockey, badminton, not badminton, and then maybe total. Okay, now I'll tell you why I'm doing this, because it makes my life so much more easier. My deductions will get better. Okay, they're saying that the total number of student is 500. So I know for a fact that this is 500. 60% of the students are boys. All right, so the 60% of 500 is how much? That is 300. I hope that makes sense. And that of the 60% of the students, 40% play hockey. What is going to be 40% of 300? 10% is 30, so this is going to be 120, or you can directly do it 4 3s are 12, right? Not hockey at this point, I don't know, and I don't care also, but let's jot down the information. 75% of the girls play badminton. Now first of all, let me say one thing. If 300 is the number of boys, you can make a deduction in your head that 200 has to be the number of girls. I think that much deduction is very easy. Then the next thing that one can really look at is that 75% of the girls play badminton. Okay, now what is 75% of 200? You can directly use this thing, the fraction equivalent, you can call this. Okay, so the fraction equivalent is, so 4 5s are 20, so this is 150. These are the ones who play badminton. Okay, they don't play hockey. It's given there that the girls don't play hockey. So if they are not playing hockey, they're also not, hockey may you can just substitute 0, not hockey 0, and rest of the non-badminton player you can just put in 50 over there. Okay, Typically, this is how you will jot down information. All right. Now, what is going to be the number of boys who are not playing hockey? At this point, I'm a little confused because I don't have any data. And what about the girls, rather the boys, about badminton? I have no information about the badminton, let alone non-badminton. The question is asking me, there are only 2 games to be played, the number of students who don't play any game. So for that specific number of students who play no games, I really need to know these values, the question mark values. And because I don't have any information about badminton, non-badminton, I can actually not answer this question. So the answer to the first question will be cannot be determined. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now there will be students who can say ki sir 500 ऐसे करके भी हम कर सकते थे, boys and girls, something like that. Whichever, tree method or if you want to tabulate it, whichever methods you like it, you can go through that. Let's go to the next question. The next question says a fraction is reduced in reduced form is such that when it is squared and then the numerator is increased by 25% and the denominator is reduced to 80%, it results in 5/8 of the original fraction. Now this is very, I think, oral kind of a question also. So suppose the fraction is x by y. What they are saying is they're squaring it and then they are increasing it to 25%. So if the numerator is increasing by 25%, I can just use the decimal 1.25. And the next thing that you need to be very careful of is that the denominator is reduced to 80% and not reduced by 80%. This is very important. This is the word that you have to pay attention. I'll explain that thing, but before that, let me write it down. This thing result in 5/8 of the original fraction, x by y. Okay, now what I can do is, just a second, there will be, let me do one thing. Okay, let me not get rid of the decimals right now. Let me do one thing. Let me just eliminate the x's and the y's from the picture. So all I need to worry about is x by y. Okay, x by y, and then I'll just send 0.8 in the numerator. So this will be 5/8 into 0.8 by 1.25. Okay, 2 zeros, 1 0. Cancel. This is 10 and 5 25s are 5 5s are 5 2s are. Okay, so x upon 5, very easily I have been able to calculate 2 by 5. Now what they have asked is the product of the numerator and the denominator is. Now how do I calculate the product of the numerator and denominator? Just, look at the numerator and denominator is 2k, 5k. So 2k into 5k typically will result into 10k. Okay, they have not given you 10k because, whatever, a multiple of 10 also satisfy. Now the one that I was talking about, for the students who will be a little confused about कि sir 0.2 y square में 0.2 से मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते थे क्या 80% लाने के लिए? Now see, if you do that ना, let me do it over there. So if 100 into 0.2, if you do that, this is actually 20, which is a reduction of 80%. This is a reduction of 80%. So basically the number reduced by 80%. This is not what is given in the question. The question is said that the denominator is reduced to 80% and not by 80%. I hope that makes sense, right? So this is the answer. Both of the questions we have been able to do. Let's go to the next question. Just a second. This one I think is an interesting one. Let's see. Okay. In the Chidambaram's family, the ratio of the expense to saving is given as 5:3. Okay, let's try and understand this thing. Okay. Expense is to saving is given as 5:3. Okay. But his expenses is increased by 60% and income increases by only 25%. Thus, there is a deficit of 3,500 in the savings. The increased income of Chidambaram's family is. Now, I will actually be expecting you to know something, that income minus expenditure, that is equals to saving. That is the definition of this entire thing, right? We can also write it like income is equals to expenditure plus saving. If you add expenditure and saving, you will get to the value, right? Now, in the question, we are given that the ratio of that family of expenditure to saving is 5:3. So I can just take them as 5x and 3x. So can I not write them like something like this? So 5x plus 3x, that is equal to the income. Okay, I'll keep this thing over there. You can also do it in a tabular fashion. You can actually tabulate them also. Now, you should know that 5x and 3x income has to be 8x. This much you should know. Now, the next part is that expenses is getting increased by 60%. So expense will increase by 60%. So if you have no idea, what I will do is I'll just 5x into 1.6. That's it. And income also is increasing by 25%, right? So 25% you can also write 5/4, or you can write 1.25. I can write 5/4. So let's write that 8x by into 5/4. This is, I am just writing this entirely. So this is going to be 10x. And let me do it the textbookish way. This is going to be 8x. Okay. So I'll just rub off everything and write 8x over there. Now, I don't know why students will find this a little difficult to find out this quantity. They will say कि sir यहाँ पे इस quantity का तो value नहीं दिया हुआ. अरे value नहीं दिया हुआ, but you can subtract ना. 10x minus 8x you can subtract and get this thing. Now look at the question. The question says that there is a deficit of 3500 in the saving. Can you see the deficit? What is the deficit? The deficit is 3x minus 2x, that is given as 3500. Okay, and they have asked you the increased income of Chidambaram's family. So you can directly say that x is equals to 3500. They are asking you about this number 10x. So can you not directly, without going any further, say that the answer to this question would be 35,000? I hope that makes sense. Now let me take you to the fourth question. Yeah, I hope that is visible. Yeah. Okay, let me just see if the feed is all right. All right, everything seems to be great. There are no comments. I'll keep on checking. Okay, so the fourth question, right? So the fourth question, let's look into the fourth question. This says that in the presidency college, two candidates contested a presidential election. 15% of the voters did not vote and 41 votes were invalid. The elected contestant got 314 votes more than the other candidate. Now guys, I'll tell you one of my secrets. The first thing is that there is a percentage term given and then there is an absolute number given. Please pay attention to those, trick statements, you can say. The question stem is very important because this actually tells you whether you should do this or you can actually leave this type of question. If you're unaware of how to solve these questions, I mean, you can obviously skip them, but then I would say that typically what you are seeing now, so suppose there are 100% people, or let's say 100x people in the college, I'm not going to solve it the traditional way. I'm just telling you a method of which 15%, 15x suppose is not voting. So 85x. This is a 85x which has a variable component into it, but the numbers, the voter did not vote and 41 votes were invalid. Now there is a 41 also into the picture which will not fit the current scenario which has a variable component 85x. So the thing is chuck them out. Just read this once. See if you can use the options. And try and figure out the answer. The elected contestant got 314 votes more than the other candidate. Can you just tell me, by evaluating the options, which of the options has a difference of 314? So let's evaluate from the bottom. 2, 4, 5, 7 and 2, 1 4 3. I'm doing it the school bookish way. 314, 314. This has to be my answer. I don't need to go any further. This is my answer. Okay. Now, if you want the traditional way of how to solve this question, I'll probably, do that also. I mean, I'll probably, comment it down. I just don't want to waste my time. So I'll directly jump into the last question. I think I'll just take this one, okay, as the last question, and then probably we'll conclude this session. Okay. Just a second. Yeah. Now, this question says that the annual earning of Mr. Sikkawala is 4 lakh per annum for the first year of his job, and his expenditure was 50%. Later on, for the next 3 years, his average income increased by 40,000 per annum, and the saving was 40%, 30%, and 20% of the income. What is the percentage of the total saving over total expenditure if there is no any interest applied on the saving for these 4 years? Now, if you really pay attention to this question, you will realize that just how we solved the first question, this is exactly how we will be solving. So let me draw a grid, a tabular representation that will make my life easier. And why do I need this? I'll tell you. So suppose I have an income, I have an expenditure, and I have a saving. So I'll just, tabulate income, and then possibly I can, why not, let me just use the subscript I. Okay, let me just use I, E, and S. Okay. This is for the first year. This is for the first year, second, third, and fourth, because there are consecutive 3 years, right, after the first year. First year it was 4 lakhs, and the saving was 50% of that. Okay, and his expenditure was, sorry, the expenditure was 50%, so it is going to be 2 lakhs. I hope that makes sense. And then after, it just increased by 40,000, so this will be 4.4. Then it will be 4.8, and then it will be plus 4 into it. This is going to be 5. So 5.2. So this is the, income of the consecutive years. You can actually do another one for a total business, and then we have to calculate the savings and the other things. Okay. His average income increased by 40,000 per annum, and the savings was 40, 30, and 20 of the income. All right. So let's start off with this thing. Okay, so 40% of this. So I'll have to actually do this in a very tedious way, but let's do this. 4.4 into 40%, right? I'm just trying to figure out how I could have done it. Okay, so 4 4s are 16, 4 4s are 16, 17. So I would say 1.76. So the savings is going to be 1.76. And similarly, if you see, you would have to tabulate for all the savings. Let me just, see once. Expenditure. First year of his job, 4 lakh was his per annum for the first year of, and his expenditure was 50%. If expenditure is 50%, 2 lakhs. Okay, so I just made sure that both these things are in the same idea. Now you can do the calculation. The calculation is definitely not that difficult. Let's do that. And we have to calculate for 30% of 4.8. Now you can do that. 10% is 0.48 and something like that. 4.8 into 30%. Let's just do this like that. Okay. If you have no idea, so you can do it like this. 24 to 12 and to 14. So this is 144, 1.44. This is going to be the saving, 1.44, right? And for the last one, it will be 5.2. Let's, okay, just a second. Yeah, so for the last one, it is going to be 20% of this. 10% is 0.52, so 20% of that will be 1.04. I hope that makes sense. Now, if you realize, you just need to subtract 1.76 from 4.4 and you'll get the expenditure. You'll get the first one as 2.64. This is the TDS bit, 2.64. You can do that mentally also. The other one, 4.8 minus 1.44. This is going to be 3.36. The last one, this is actually going to be 5.2 and 1.04. This is going to be 4.16. All right. Now, expenditure ka total is 12.24711, 12.16, and for savings I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.24. all right. What is it that they have asked you? They have asked you what is the percentage of his total savings over the total expenditure. Total saving is 6.24 by total expenditure is 12.16, right? Now, how do I do this? Now, very interesting bit. This is the only bit that you should pay attention to. Let's, approximate this number. So let's say this is 6.2 by 12.1. I can also write it like 62 by 121. Okay, please pay attention what I am doing. Acha, suppose this 121, suppose 62, instead of 121 in the denominator, if I had 124, this would have been exactly half, right? But the denominator is less. It is 121. Do you know the property? If the denominator is less and the numerator is constant, the fraction, which is 50%, the fraction is going to be a little more than, not a lot, a little more than 50%. So maybe 51% ish. So I'll just see which one satisfies. 49 does not, 41 does not, 51 sort of. So I can say at that point maybe 51 whole 6 by 9, something like that, of that sort. So actually 53 will also not satisfy. I will actually have to mark none of these because 53 is too far ahead. So for that matters, I'll have to take D as my answer. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, I thought this was 51. Sorry. What am I doing? Yeah, I hope that made sense, right? So a little more than 50%. How much more? If you want to calculate, there is always going to be a calculator. You can calculate it, but you can see that because the options are far apart, none of the options actually satisfy this one. Okay, interesting questions. Not very easy, not very difficult. Something that we can definitely tackle in exams. I would like to say one thing before I conclude this session. 5 and 10 questions, 20 questions. I'll increase the numbers if I get enough and more response from you guys. Okay, so something which I just wanted to mention, the tabular method is important. See, if you are comfortable with it, if this is just a second, yeah, so if you're comfortable with this thing now, the tabular method, do it. But if you're not comfortable with it, maybe if you want to maybe use a different way, you can do that as well. This helps a lot of students, just making this type of this thing. Okay, so I think I am just blabbering, so I should just end the stream here. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, the drill. Like, share, subscribe. Also, I will continue making advanced level question solving, and not just related to arithmetic. I'll actually mix and match a lot of content. So this was just one of the snippets of the content that is going to be presented across to you. Not just till CAT, after CAT also, because we are prepping for 2024 as well. Okay, in about a week or so I'll announce the CAT 2024 batches. So with that being said, that's it from me.